Hi and welcome to my podcast. Today I invited the founder of Face to Face and Product Market Fit, Nick Tomic. Nick, thanks for coming.
What up, George?
Everything is okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good. So let's start from the first questions. What was the defining moment when you realized you had to become an entrepreneur?
Both my parents are entrepreneurs, so I think it's just like natural course of action. I thought I'd be a lawyer at one point, and then I was just like the kid that always broke the rules, and I figured like becoming a lawyer is probably just it's not gonna work for me. And I think that the moment where I really knew, like my cousin took me to Greece once. We went from Serbia, road trip to Greece. I grew up in Canada, but went to Serbia every summer. And my cousin, who's a lawyer, took me to Greece, right? So we road trip there, and he gives me a book to read. He's like, "Hey, Nick, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad," right, by Robert Kiyosaki. It's like the real estate book, super famous. Probably heard about it. And I read it. It was like a 2-week trip in Greece, and I read the whole book. And by the end of the book, actually like 20 pages in, I was like pretty convinced, like, okay, this is the way to go. I need to, that back then it was like, okay, I need to invest in real estate. But quickly that turned into, well, you need capital to invest in real estate. So I'm going to start some businesses. And just went, I guess that's how it started.
Why did you decide to launch your Product Market Fit project?
Product Market Fit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was building SaaS MVPs. Started late 2022. And I built 12 MVPs for SaaS founders between 2022 and mid 2023, let's say. It was a busy 6 months. And 11 out of 12 went absolutely nowhere. So we built their MVPs, and then they did nothing with that. They didn't go to market. They just kind of gave up on their products. And for me, it really sucked because at that point, I thought I could really scale like a startup studio. I was like, oh, we can build MVPs. The next step is growing them and taking equity and what every other like dev studio kind of has planned, like. And I realized that, man, doesn't work like that. And I started studying the topic. I started my own SaaS cold message. And during cold message, while building cold message, it's how I got the idea for face-to-face. But long story short, I started cold message, and I realized I know nothing about product market fit. And I read all the books. I read like 20 plus books in a short period of 2-3 months. Just nothing seemed to cut it. Like it was all these different ways of doing things, but I felt like it was all very theoretical, and I wanted to get the data firsthand. So that's why I bought this microphone, and I started interviewing founders at conferences. That's how it started. And after my first 50 interviews, I realized, you know what? We have something here because everyone has a different story, but they all kind of correlate. So I thought, well, let me just do the most comprehensive study ever conducted on the topic of early stage SaaS product market fit. So I kind of ventured on this mission of interviewing 1,000 founders, and that's why I bought productmarketfit.io to kind of host all that under a domain.
It's interesting. And as I know, you're entering the approximately 300 founders. And what is the biggest insight you gained so far?
There's a few. I think the first one is talk to your customers. It sounds very cliche YC stuff, but it's crazy the amount of people that don't do it. Face-to-face is a software that helps you talk to your customers. So there you go. The second one is don't build too many features. Founders often don't realize that every feature carries risk. And it's not just technical risk, it's also PMF related risk. And what I mean by PMF related risk is that every feature actually has more, the odds of adding a feature statistically, in my opinion, are higher. There's more chance to divert you from PMF, to take you further away by adding a feature than there's a chance to bring you closer to PMF. So you have to be very careful when you're adding features, because it's basically like 3-to-1 odds, based on my guess, 3-to-1 odds of actually bringing you closer to PMF as opposed to bringing you further away. And I think that's why a lot of startups fail, is because they build the wrong things and they build too much of it. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you personally define product market fit for you?
I think it's building something that the market wants so much that the market starts promoting your product for you.
Yeah. And when did you realize your product had it?
I don't know if we have it yet.
Okay. So you're interviewing SaaS founders, and what are the biggest misconceptions about PMF in the SaaS industry?
Well, the first one I'll tell you is what dev shops interpret product market fit to be. They think it's like a checklist of things, and like when everything checks the box, then you have theoretical PMF, and then you can start building the product. There's some truth to that, but PMF is more of it's like a spectrum, right? From like, I have PMF to like, I don't have PMF, and nobody's at 100% PMF. It just does not exist. And so it's just like a spectrum of how close you are to PMF. PMF being like, it's like in meditation, the point of no thoughts. Well, that's like PMF. You're never going to get to the point of no thoughts. I'm one of the guys who thinks that even when you die, you're still going to have thoughts. So might as well bank a nice life so you can have some cool memories to think about. But at the point of death, right, or at the point of PMF, sorry, it's like a point you're trying to reach, but you never really get there. So like having PMF, I think this is where a lot of people get it wrong. And this leads me to the second point, which is what dev studios often fuck up with. It's they tell their clients like, okay, let's do this checklist, or let's validate the PMF. The only way to validate the PMF, in my opinion, is to actually go and build the startup, right? As you build the startup, as you make money, as people use your product.
Yeah.
For example, we're currently in this phase where we have 40 something customers. We're at 40K ARR. Life is great. I can make posts about that on LinkedIn. Everyone's like, hoorah, Nick, you're at 40K ARR. Woohoo. But, like, that's not PMF. That's me being able to sell my product, right? Which means that I'm a great marketer. I'm a great seller. People agree with the vision, has market fit, right? But does the product actually solve the problem to a point where the companies are willing to use it over and over and over again, right? This, I'm still not sure. Like, we haven't had our clients for long enough. Some people are seeing results. Other people are seeing no results. Some people have implemented it right away. Other people have bought it and they still haven't implemented it 3 months later. So we need to get to a point. My next step is the case studies, right? So every business should go like that. You have your idea, you build your MVP, you get your customers, and then you get your case studies. And then how long do these people keep using your solution? That's the solution viability longevity. It's a metric that I came up with. How long is your solution going to be viable for, right? Is it going to last 6 months before AI disrupts it? Is it something that can last 5 years? My point and my hypothesis is that every single tool out there, from the horse to the carriage, to the car, to the plane, to the boat, they all have an expiry date. And so does your wonderful tool. And your job is to try to, in the back of your head, you have to monitor your expiry date, right? And how the market is fluctuating, and how is that affecting your business? How is that affecting your market fit? Because maybe you're selling horse carriages, and some guy called Ford is selling cars. You don't know about him yet, right? But if you teleport yourself 10 years in the future, he destroys your business. So your job as the entrepreneur is to know about Ford building the cars before it becomes a problem, so you can go and do something about it.
It's really interesting point of view, because everyone think about PMF, that you should try to sell fast, find your first customers, and understand your ICP, and then expand this method. So it's really interesting. Thanks for explanation. And okay, regarding the SaaS, how did you come up with face-to-face, and why face-to-face?
Yeah, and hold on, I just want to say this. What you just said about what everyone's trying to do, that's 100% right. We sold a napkin idea before we ever had anything viable that we could show people. I had a 4-slide deck, right, that showed screenshots of a Figma, and we sold that to 3 people, right? We made $300. We got 40 other people that said they'd pay for it once it was live. Out of these 40, about 10 of them actually paid for it. Everybody else is ghosting us. So, and that's because I have good relationships with them. So you should definitely go sell your idea before you build it. There's it's a bunch of iterative selling, right? And you should sell constantly be selling. So I just wanted to say that. Now, how did I get the idea for face-to-face, right? That was your question?
Yes.
Okay. So I have this SaaS called coldmessage.io, which I built because I used to do a bunch of outreach for my clients back in 2023. It was like 2022 was one of my side hustles. Sorry, 2023. And side hustle. I was like a head of growth at a VC backed company, if you call that a side hustle. But yeah, and so and the biggest issue I had was I couldn't personalize the emails fast enough, right? It was me typing the emails, and we were selling like a payment processor solution for healthcare startups. It was extremely niche, and there was no possible, it was really hard to just shoot them random generic emails. It just didn't work. So I had to spend 20, 30 minutes writing every email, personalizing it, making it super relevant. So I built Cold Message to solve that problem. Bit of context, that was the early post ChatGPT era before Clay pivoted into like a GTM tool. And Cold Message, when I launched Cold Message, like a month later, Clay came out with their big pivot as a GTM tool, right? And then I looked at Clay and I was like, okay, cool, I'm out. Have fun, guys. So in that month I built Cold Message in 7 days, front end. So the back end took 5 days, front end took 2 days, launched it on a Discord server. Liam Otley, shout out Liam. If you're trying to build an AI automation agency, go check this guy out. He's a YouTube channel. Really, really cool guy. Anyways, so I was in there and I launched my thing. I get 200 users in like 1 day, right? Off of his Discord channel. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're signing up. Some of them are using it. Others are not. And I can't see anything beyond my database. Right? I don't see what they're doing inside. So I go and I install Hotjar, right? And Heap and a bunch of other stuff to track to see the live screen of what they're doing, right? And then I saw that some of the users were getting stuck, right? They were getting stuck around like the button, something in the UX wasn't clear to them. I don't know. And I was like, man, instead of me trying to figure out the UX, wouldn't it be just dope if I could like click a button and call them, like pop up in the front of their screen? So I found another tool which kind of allowed me to do that. It wasn't really meant for it, but I used it for that. And I had over 10 hours of conversations in the first month of me launching the tool with my earliest users. That led to like, there was like over 200K in enterprise deals in the pipeline. And like, they basically gave me everything I needed for the roadmap. that's how I got the idea for face-to-face. Like, I actually used a first version of it for myself.
You created face-to-face because it was your problem. It was your problem, and you decided to create this product that can solve your problem. It's a really good startup idea, as I think. Am I understanding you correctly that you built face-to-face with AI without team?
Sorry, what?
Did you build your face-to-face product without team, only with AI, or it's my mistake?
No. I built cold message in 7 days
Oh, okay.
by myself using Bubble, Python, and AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But face-to-face is many orders of magnitude harder than cold message. And yeah, I'd be really impressed if someone could build it by themselves using AI.
Yeah, it's really cool. And due to this, your startup story, why do you think more people are shifting towards entrepreneurship today?
I think 5 to 10% of the population is like inclined psychologically, like just like they're predetermined entrepreneurs, like they're born like that and they can't really do anything else. And that's because evolutionarily, like, you need entrepreneurs. They're like the leaders, right? Everyone thinks the politicians are the leaders. They're not, right? The guys running the economy are the entrepreneurs, not the politicians. And so that's the true leaders. Anyways, that's a separate topic. But so I think that you have that segment, right? Today, entrepreneurship has been glorified, right? It's glamorized because of social media, right? So you have another like 10 to 20% of the population that tries to build businesses, right? Even though it might not be they may not have the natural reflexes, right? Genetic reflexes that entrepreneurs have, right? With their predetermined personality type and like the way they were conceived, right? And their role in society from birth. So these people typically have a harder time, in my opinion. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't make it. Although, yeah, I think social media plays a huge part in kind of like popularizing entrepreneurship. It's also why we have so many different tools that do the same shit. Whenever I see someone launching a tool that is absolutely no different than another tool in no way, except it's a different founder and it has a different brand, I know that this guy inherently is not an innovator, right? The founder is probably in it just for a quick cash grab most of the time, right? And so I don't see these people as true competition because in the end, I think they get completely outcompeted by the true entrepreneurs that don't care about eating ramen noodles for 15 years and like lighting servers on fire type thing, right?
Yeah, totally agree with you. And that's why I asked you about it. We can see a lot of products that completely the same. Opening your product hunt page every day, the same shit.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think? How do you think AI transforming SaaS industry or not?
I mean, AI is transforming way more than the SaaS industry. It's reshaping our society, right? Anyone who thinks AI will not disrupt SaaS is at best an idiot. Like I like at best. Yeah, like there's no way. So the first thing that will change with AI, it's the interface. Okay? Like I just coded an app this morning on my phone by talking to Replit, right? It's like Replit is like ChatGPT with actual servers in the back end and a database and all the stuff you need. So you can just like prompt it and it will code an app for you, right? So I told him to build me an AI agent that's going to go in my Calendly and figure out who I need to follow up with and It did that in like 5 minutes. It had a couple bugs. I told him about it and it just fixed it. And it's live since this morning. I did it on the toilet while I was like scrolling through Instagram instead of playing Candy Crush. Right. So it's coming, guys. And the craziest thing about it is, so right now we're seeing applications in B2B and whatever. But the biggest thing is when we change the interface. Okay. This is where everything changes, and businesses need to position for that. What am I talking about? Currently, we're talking through a square, right? My screen looks like this. I don't know what your screen looks like. Maybe your screen is curved, but it's still a screen, right? It's still like somewhat of a rectangle. That's going to change. Very soon, we're going to have glasses, right? We're going to have projectors. We're going to have all kinds of different tech. That's going to mean that I no longer need to go through a screen. And with the glasses, we're no longer need a mouse, right? So the whole interface of websites, everything's going to change. If SaaS products are not adapted for that, if they're not API first, if they don't treat LLM SEO seriously, they're going to get left behind, right? Complete oblivion. Because if your shit is not optimized for glasses, who's going to use you? The people left on the screens? I can guarantee you that the entrepreneurs are not going to be left on the screens. They're going to be the first ones to move to whatever new shit is out there. So, yeah, that's my biggest prediction.
Okay, really cool. I totally agree with you that AI will completely change our life, because it's really a huge impact for today's world. And so, due to the AI, how do you think, what's the one skill that will be essential for entrepreneurs for the next decade? Or just for people? Doesn't matter, entrepreneurs or...
I mean, communication, I think that's going to be big, and systems thinking. I think you need, like, people need to develop an engineer mind, and it's time to lean in further into the engineer artist archetypes. I think engineers, true engineers, real engineers, right? The guys that reinvent stuff, they're going to do really well. And I think artists that embrace the creative explosion and the disruption that's about to happen are going to thrive. Anything in between, if you're not able to truly embrace the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere of your brain and let the AI compensate for the other side, you're going to be in a position of weakness, because now's the time to go either or, right? It was never the time, like, there's never been a time like right now. Before, you had to surround yourself with teams, right? Teams of people that could complement you. You don't need to do that anymore. You're going to be able to tailor your own extension to yourself by talking to an LLM. So, you pick whatever you're really good at and go all in on that.
Yeah, good. And if you could ask one question to every SaaS founder, what would it be?
What's your MRR?
It doesn't have.
Well, they gotta have an MRR. I don't know I don't know what they're doing if they don't.
Okay. Regarding this, the next question is, what the most underrated growth strategy for SaaS founders?
The most underrated growth strategy for SaaS founders?
Yeah.
I think it's talking to your users on your website. I don't think there's anything quite like it. Talking to your users inside your website, letting them call you while they're using your software. We just went live with HeyReach last night. We had to shut it down because we realized that there was so much activity. We needed to upgrade our servers. So we upgraded them during the night, and then we relaunched in the morning. So we've been live for about 2 hours in total. And I can tell you the usage, like, these guys are getting So we're only getting calls from free trial users that have been identified in HubSpot as having the potential to pay 10 to 30K per year. Okay. Free trial and big account potential. Guess how many calls we got in 2 hours of being live?
Additionally, I could say that the most underrated growth strategy is not launch a referral system or partnership program, because when someone can sell your product, and you shouldn't do this, it's the best way. It's the fastest way to get your MRR higher, as I think. Okay,
Yeah, 100%.
let's imagine if the AI changed everything right now. What would be your next step? Was face-to-face or just in your life?
Well, I think I'm already positioning for it. Yeah, so I don't know if it happened right now. I mean, it won't happen right now, but yeah, I don't know if it happened right now, like today. I don't know. I'd get my pair of Meta glasses and I'd sign up for whatever AI can cure all the diseases. Make sure I have early access on that, and yeah, like get ready to live 1,000 years, because I think that's what's going to happen. Really, the improvements in B2B and like business are going to be cool, no doubt. But the improvements in healthcare, that's just next level shit.
Yeah. Okay. And let's imagine AI doesn't replace everything. What's your long-term vision for face-to-face?
Regardless of whatever happens, humans are always going to want to talk to humans, right? Face to face is a no AI platform. We are banking on humans being inherently speciest, right? Humans have proven themselves to be racist time and time again, right? But we are inherently speciest. So a human will never choose a cow over a fellow human, right? Yeah. It doesn't happen. And so it will not choose AI over a fellow human either, unless it's scared of it. But that will create basically dynamics. AI will create dynamics where humans will want to talk to humans even more, right? And you'll just have, I think a trend will start very soon, which is what I'm counting on. A trend where people will start requesting to talk to a human when they're dealing with businesses. And this is what face-to-face is positioned for.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I heard the thoughts that now people are looking for the, social interaction through the social media. In the future, they are looking for the human interaction. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you balance running multiply business while staying sane? You have a product market fit project, you have face-to-face project, and I'm thinking you have side hustle also trying to test different projects. So that's why I'm asking.
If you're trying to do anything great, I would focus on one thing, unless you're a billionaire, right? Unless you have a shitload of money. So I dropped everything else I was doing to focus on face-to-face. Product market fit, if I worked on it for last year, I worked on it quite a lot, but I paused the book club for now, the early stage SaaS founder book club.
Good.
There are still people joining our Slack community. We have about 50, 60 members, but it just feels wrong when you're working hard on bringing something to life. It's really tough to do two things at the same time and expect to have a phenomenal result, right? And I'm expecting nothing short. I want nothing short of a phenomenal result. I want this to be a home run. So yeah, I just have to sacrifice everything else, including my other streams of income. I used to charge multiple hundreds of dollars an hour for my time, and I had a lot of clients, and I stopped working with almost all of them because I had to focus on face to face. So yeah, it's just sacrifices you need to make.
And okay, what's your goal to get so much money in this case?
What do you mean?
You told me that right now you told me that you're still doing the shit until you become billionaire, and that's why I'm asking what's your goal to get so much money?
You mean like what I would do with it?
Yeah, for what or why?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so like the way that I see it, right, on the grand scheme of things, if you're looking to be an innovator in 2025 that makes a huge difference in the world, you need chips, right? I think that the bare minimum is 100 million liquid, right? Without that, you can't do anything significant. You're always going to be chasing VCs and chasing and doing all kinds of weird stuff to get other people's money. I'm not interested in that. So yeah, like in my case, the B status, it's like a prerequisite to working on the stuff that I really want to work on, which is okay, it's generally climate related stuff, right? I'm very conscious about the number one threat to humanity, which is the planet we live on, right? We get cocky very often, and we like to play God, but we live on a big blue little rock that's floating in the middle of space, and we can drown, we can burn, there's a lot of things that can happen. So I would like to focus the rest of my life after my career in software to building real tech that can protect us and protect the world that we love. At least I love it, right? Nature, forests, Tahiti, the Bahamas, the Maldives, right? All that stuff, Switzerland, the Alps, go skiing in the winter, go swimming. I want to keep doing those things for a very long time. I want my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids to do that too. So I just want to make sure that we're properly equipped and we have all the tech to make sure that that we can reduce the natural ecosystem related risks.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I love nature also, and sometimes it's really sad to observe how it can be destroyed. Okay, we are going to the end, and if you could give one piece of advice to your 18 years old self, what would it be?
Pick one industry, stick to it. Make sure that you think about it before you pick your industry. I wasted 2.5 years. I paused my career in tech. I started when I was 17, dropped out of high school, did 2.5 years in tech, and then I started a business that was a mobile garage business. I did that for 2.5 years, car washes, mobile tire changes, oil changes, selling tires. Like I don't really care about cars. Like I like nice cars, of course, but it's not a passion of mine. I don't give a shit. And so I thought I could make it big in that business, but I didn't really care about it. And the truth is, if you're willing to stick to something for 10 plus, 15 plus years, you're going to make it, right? If you work really hard, but you can be the hardest working, the smartest working person. If you're picking the wrong thing and you're not willing to go 10, 15 years in that industry, you're not going to make it. It's just a fucking waste of time. So make sure you pick an industry that fits you and that you love and that you're like legit serious about, okay, I'm going to spend the next 10, 15, 20 years in that industry, like no problem. For me, that's SaaS. I love SaaS. It's amazing. I'm having a lot of fun now in SaaS. I should have just stuck to that. I would be orders of magnitude away from where I am today if I had just stuck in SaaS and avoided that 2.5 year detour. And I would also probably have saved myself a ton of stress. So yeah, pick one thing that you love and stick to it.
Okay, how to understand what's fit for you?
Yeah, like the founder market fit, right? The founder, like you need to pick your market, you need to pick your playing field. that is like the number one requisite to product market fit. I have this exercise. If anyone's interested, just message me. I'll send you my Figma board. It's called the 10-year vision. It's like an ikigai planning basically exercise. It lasts like 60 to 90 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. I used to charge for that and do it for all my clients. I never took a client, whether it was personal branding, building an MVP, mentoring, whatever, without doing this exercise first, because I wanted to make sure that the thing we were working on was aligned with their 10-year vision for themselves. So yeah, I'm happy to send that over to you guys for free. Just message me and yeah, do your 10-year vision exercise. Where do I want to be in 10 years? That's the goal, right? To crystallize a picture with a bunch of words, a bunch of stuff, like it's a big exercise, 2-hour exercise, so that you're clear on where you're going and that you can make the decisions that are aligned with that.
Okay, good. And what book changed your life or the way you think about the business? You can pick not only one.
You know, I'll give you a guy. So there's this guy called Tai Lopez, right? A lot of people know him as Here in My Garage, Lamborghini guy. He has this thing called Mentor Box. I never used it, but it's a service that sends you a book a week, and they give you summaries, and you get to hear actually the authors give you the summaries of their own books, and it allows you to speed read through a bunch of books. And he has this challenge: a book a month, a book a week, a book a day, 2 books a day, 3 books a day, right? And I got to 1 book a day at one point, and like 2024, I read about something around like 40 books. 2023, it was around 50 books. And the number one thing that I learned, and this comes from Tai, it's you want to really learn the concepts in the books. So I would say read as much as possible, get really good at reading. It's a skill. You can train reading and get really good at it, so you can read super fast. And then pick specific topics that interest you and just drill through them. Like become a scientist, go super deep. That's what changes my life constantly. There is no single book. I would suggest anyone just go on YouTube, type Tai Lopez, and listen to his 2-3 hour rants. He has this thing called the 67 steps, which you can find for free on Spotify, or pay Tai like $30 or whatever. And over that, it's like 67 hours of him going through his top life lessons that he learned in books. And this guy's worth he's a billionaire, right? So he's much better positioned to give you life advice than I am. So yeah, that's who I would recommend listening to if you want the top knowledge from books.
I've never heard about it, about this guy. I'm really bookworm. I like to reading books, but I've never heard about him. I will be Googling after our podcast.
Tai Lopez.
Okay, Tai Lopez. Thanks, Nick, for coming. And I wish you good luck with face-to-face and continue interviewing the SaaS founders or just founders to understand what is the product market fit. And thanks for coming.
Sounds good, George. Thank you for having me.